Here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's David Wilson. I'm Maurice Patton, and we are pleased to be joined on Coach's Corner, presented by Ten Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party, by Franklin wrestling coach Tucker Cathy. The Admirals are hosting an event this evening that I wanted to get Coach Cathy to kind of enlighten us on a little bit. So, Tucker, thanks for joining us. First of all, what is it you've got going on? Because I got a Facebook solicitation that I needed to be over there this evening. So, tell me what's up.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Tonight we're going to honor we're going to have our alumni duel. So we'll be hosting all former Franklin High School wrestlers, and tonight we'll be honoring our 2005 dual team state champion. So we'll have that kicked off right at 6 o'clock tonight before our duel against Clarksville.
Okay, now when you say alumni duels, this isn't alumni wrestling, is it?
No, I think
Okay.
some of those guys could still scrap, but no, this is just going to be to honor the guys that set the stone of our program, and a good way to honor them. We did this in 2018 when Andrew Thompson was at Franklin. We had about 6 or 7 guys, and out of those, 4 of them were coaching that night. Josh
Wow.
Peck, myself, Andrew Thomason, Tommy Badon, Doug Badon, and Dustin Ortiz. So we had a slight showing, but tonight we're expecting a big crowd. This will be our 20-year anniversary of that dual team state championship. So we're excited to, get those guys back in the building, have them tour the room, see the improvements that we made, the things that we want to upgrade, and, it's just a good way to get them back.
That's awesome. I mean, anything that you can do, like you said, to kind of keep those folks involved and keep those, like you said, those cornerstones of your program, kind of top of mind as best you can. That's a good thing. And so props to you and to the program for doing that. Now, who are y'all wrestling tonight?
Tonight we'll be wrestling Clarksville. So we'll have the Badon family in the building, and another guy that we'll honor tonight being selected into the Tennessee Hall of Fame. So it's a good way to honor him and that family of a big contributor to our Franklin High School team.
Awesome. So it's just you and Clarksville then, just a 2-team duel tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it small. We want to have a really nice banquet for our guys, something that they can come back to. And sorry, I'm at Nolensville right now, and there's kids running around.
Oh.
It's just something small. Honor those guys that have been there, and just a good opportunity for them to see us wrestle and not have to be there for 2 hours for a double duel.
That's great. So how's the season going to this point?
Say what?
I said, how's the season going so far for the Ads?
It's going well. We just got back from Florida. We wrestled at the Bulls Duels in Tampa. Came home with a second place finish. Lost to a really tough Brandon team, and a pretty close duel. We had some swing matches that didn't go our way, but we finished the day 4-1. Got a lot of really good matches, and just a good bonding team experience going all the way down there.
Okay, all right. Brandon, I've heard that name. They're typically pretty good.
Yeah, they're a pretty predominantly power team down there in the Central Florida. Last year they beat us pretty good. This year we didn't. They didn't beat us as bad. So it was a good. It was a good momentum thing for us coming back into Tennessee and getting ready to start our region dual tournament or tournament season.
Tucker, you've had a couple of guys last year that obviously made it to the state tournament and were competing for state championships at the Williamson Expo Center. Who are some guys early on in the year as we head into January, into region and district matches that are standing out to you as individuals that can buy to get back to the Expo Center?
Yeah, so Aiden Elmore, our 215, he finished 5th last year. He had a really good sectionals and state tournament. Looking to build on that experience and come into this year healthy. He was a little banged up last year, but he's ready to roll. Nate Freeman, he took 3rd at Bradley before we went to Florida. went 4-1 in Florida. So I'm expecting him to have a really good regional, sectional, state tournament. Durham Queen, he went through the gauntlet in Florida. The 190 weight class down there is really tough, but he really competed really well. Hudson Minor, our 150 pounder, he's another one that, these tournaments we've been to, it's going to be hard. So we're expecting those hard matches to really translate into something really special in our qualifying tournament. So he's another one that we're keeping an eye on. Grayson Morgan, a young guy, he's, another one that's medaled at McCauley and Bradley. And, we're looking for him to have a really good state run. Paul Schultz, another one that's been really tough. We got a really good team. They did a really good job this summer. Our coach Kyle did a really good job with them and freestyle Greco and, getting them ready this offseason. So we're excited about this team and getting ready to make this region dual run and head all into the state with, really peaking at the right time.
We are pleased to have with us Santa Fe boys basketball coach Brad Slaughter, the Wildcats following up on their Class 1A state semifinal appearance from a year ago, getting off to a 13-2 start, heading into District 10A play, supposedly tomorrow night at Culleoka. Weather indications are that is not going to be the case. Is that accurate, Brad?
Yeah, I think that's safe to say. No hard set date on when the makeup's going to be yet, but I'm confident it will not be tomorrow night.
Well, let us know when you know, please, because I kind of had plans along those lines. But yeah, great season to this point. Again, 13-2, including a milestone last Friday night as Santa Fe senior Alden Slaughter became the 23rd player in Tennessee boys basketball history to reach 3,000 points. And he is now up to, I believe, number 17 on that list, going past, among others, former Vanderbilt standout former Vanderbilt standout Sam Howard, former NBA standout Anthony Hardaway, and ex-Kentucky legend Tony Delk, all here in the last couple of games. Alden sitting right at 3,093 career points. 3,098 career points. If I could read, I'd be dangerous. But Brad, I'm sure that you taught him all of that, right?
Well, we started from when he was old enough to hold a ball, that's for sure. But certainly won't take all the credit. His brother had a lot to do with that as well. But yeah, man, it's been a ride. I was actually pulling some videos, or actually my wife was. She found some old videos and was looking in the basement with me, him, and Andy when he was barely tall enough to get the ball between his legs and doing 2-ball handling drills. So. Yeah, he's been at it for a long time.
I think I had a video of him in a postseason game, his 8th grade year, knocking down a 3-pointer late in the ball game right in front of y'all's bench and spinning and pointing at y'all before it even went through the net. He has never lacked for confidence.
True. Yeah, man, thinking back on Alden, a lot of times trying to balance coach and dad, I've probably undersold his greatness a bit. So I promised I would not do that today. When I think about Alden, I believe he's the best Class 1A player in the state of Tennessee. He's and should be the Mr. Basketball 2025 winner, in my opinion. So he's when I think about Mr. Basketball, I think about career stats, individual stats, accompanied with team success. And I think he checks all 3 boxes. He's, obviously we just looked at what he's done from a career standpoint and scoring and season averaging right at 32 points a game, which is 3 shy of last season or about 2.5 shy of last season. But he's taken 7 less shots a game and up in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage across the board. And, he's a guy that, wins. He's from freshman year. He's had 20 wins freshman year, 25 freshman year, 20 his sophomore year, 26 last year. 26-6 last year, but 3 of those losses while he was injured. So, what he does for us, not just from scoring, but defensively, rebounding, he's a difference maker on the court every night for sure.
Coach, you mentioned brother. I got to ask, how serious do the one-on-one games get at the Slaughter household?
They were pretty intense. Until Andy was about 14 or 15, I wouldn't let him play one-on-one unless I was out there with him.
Yeah. Safety standpoint.
Yeah. But, the truth is from about that point, 14 to 15, Andy really recognized what he could do and has honestly been his biggest fan and pushed him and wanted him to be better than him for quite some time now.
Alden becoming a member of the 3,000 Point Club in Tennessee boys high school basketball is also the top boys basketball scorer in Murray County. And when you talk about, basketball in Murray County, there's been some great players to come through there. As you look at that graphic there,
yeah,
he is one of 2 3,000 point scorers, boys or girls, the other being Betty Booker from Hampshire. When you take all of it in, Brad, and you being a Santa Fe grad yourself and a Murray County native and knowing what kind of ball has been played over a long period of time in Murray County, to see Alden listed among those type folks, what's the significance of that for you? It might not be as significant for him because he doesn't necessarily know, DeMario Williams or Eldridge Mayberry, but you're familiar with a lot of those names, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think all, but it's wild, Mo. And honestly, I don't know that it's fully sunk in, while we're still in heat of battle and trying to get better and, still, but it really is awesome. And, also Alden had 3 pretty significant injuries from last season through preseason this year. And, there was a spot where you're sitting back going, man, is he going to be able to do it? So the fact that he got that done and checked that box and is healthy and playing good, it's, it means a lot. Like I said, it's great names on that list, and just being in the same conversation with those guys and girls is amazing.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. we fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
Right now, it is time for Coach's Corner presented by 10 Pin Alley, Eat, Play, Party. And we're pleased to have with us Hillsborough boys basketball coach Rodney Thweet. The Burros off to a 15-4 start right now. They are ranked number 2 in the initial Tennessee Sports Writers Association's Class 4A statewide poll. Coach Thweet, thanks for joining us. Doing well. How about you? Absolutely. Couple of big wins here of late, down in East Nashville last week over at their place, 71-34, and a big win Tuesday against Hunters Lane, 68-26. Again, to get to 15-4. How are you feeling about your team right now?
Really good, which is like I was talking to someone earlier. We're a really good team, but I feel like we haven't scratched the surface. They have a level that they can take it to that we're just trying to get there at some point here over the next month and a half. But I still see a lot of growth that can be had with this group, and I'm looking forward to seeing us close that gap.
Obviously, you don't want to be playing your best ball on January 16th, but the fact that you feel good while still seeing some growth as well, I guess that's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah, it is a good place to be. It really is. As a coach, you're always waiting for that adversity around the corner, so you never relax and exhale, so to speak. But I definitely would not trade what we're doing with anybody at this particular point. I really enjoy the group, and I just want to see them continue to push forward and get better. And like I said, the timing is working real well for us right now because, like you said, we don't want to peak right now, but we want to be headed towards that direction for sure.
Coach, as we kind of creep up or tip over past the midway mark of the regular season, has this group come together from the start, or has that been something that, after Thanksgiving, kind of walk us through maybe how we got to where we're at right now in your mind?
That's a good question. I don't know if we've 100% got there yet. I think, like I said, we're just a really good old bunch that has played together for a while and has a lot of experience, and we've had a really tough schedule that's prepared us for a lot of these games that we have ahead of us. I would almost say it probably goes back to the sub-state loss a year ago, where I think this team committed to each other and doing all the right things on a daily basis to put us in the position that we're in now.
You guys are playing well, and as you mentioned, you've taken on some tough foes. I'm fair to say that was by design on your part to give you guys a challenging schedule.
Absolutely. I've never done that before, but I'm definitely seeing, not to this level, the benefit of playing all the tough games that we have and the experiences that we can call back on. It's really been one of the best things we could have done this year is just really push ourselves. And we've learned a lot and faced some adversity in those situations, and I think we're going to be able to call back on that when the playoffs get started.
I'm also curious, Coach.
Rodney Thweet, boys basketball coach. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say one other remark on your schedule, Coach. I'm noticing a lot of teams from out of state. Even what do you how do you approach those matchups? I guess, and I know some of them were part of a classic or maybe not initially scheduled, but when you see a team from a Texas or from a Missouri or Alabama, how do you kind of go? Does your game plan or your methodology change at all trying to get ready for those teams?
In playing those teams, it's just a physicality difference. We didn't know that until what you started this schedule. It's just amazing to see the style of play differences that we've seen. I mean, we've got to see a little bit of everything. Game plan really hasn't changed, but it allows us to know who we are. We've learned who we are from some of those games, and that was the goal of it, to really get pushed and see, what our character is, who we are as a team, what's the best style of play for us. And quite honestly, we're still developing that, and having that schedule without worrying about the results, so to speak, like you do when you're in district play. Has really helped us learn as coaches and as a team who we are and what's best suited in terms of style of play for us.
Coach, when you talk about the physicality, is that, excuse me, is that like a function of different officiating? Is that a function of, different styles of play? Where does that come from, and how do you, respond to that?
Yeah, I do think different areas have different styles of play, and different associations allow a little bit more, a little bit less wherever you go. In some of those games, they were prep schools, so kids were older, stronger, more physical, which really pushed us, and that's where I see a lot of the physicality in some of these older schools, or prep schools, so to speak, and being able to play a faster style pace of game with some of the Memphis schools that we faced. It's just given us a lot of different looks. I don't think there's anything at this point that can surprise us in that department, but I do feel like those teams set us up to really play well here locally over the stretch of the next 3 weeks.
We're pleased to have with us former Battleground Academy, former Ensworth head football coach, and newly named Pope John Paul II coach, Brock Patton. Coach, thanks for taking some time with us this afternoon.
Thank you guys for having me on. I'm excited to be on, and excited to return to Tennessee, man. I'm so thrilled.
Crank it up, baby.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it going. So, true story. Coach Patton spent the past season down at Savannah Country Day in Georgia, but had already been mutually committed, he and the TACA, the Tennessee Athletic Coaches Association, to coach in the TACA East-West All-Star Classic in mid-December up in Clarksville. So Coach Patton comes up, coaches the winning West squad in that ball game, and as we are walking off the field, I'm saying to him, I wish somebody would kidnap you and keep you up here while you're here. Now, I need to know, was this in the works at that time, Rock?
It was not. It was shortly after that where some conversations started to take place. But I laughed about that. Of course, you and I after the fact when you said that, because it stuck in my head. But it's it's something, and it was a thrill first off to coming back to coaching that game. TACA and Coach Marbett, who I think the world of, and that whole Murphy and that whole organization there. I just kind of fulfilled my obligation that they selected me last year. And so it was thrilled to come back, to see a bunch of guys that I know really well. My staff was amazing, and the kids we had were amazing, have a lot of fun. But it felt good to be back in Tennessee, just, old stomping ground and all that, but wasn't in the works then. But, shortly thereafter, some things started to transpire, and, here I am and excited to get it rolling, get going.
I'm always fascinated, Coach, when a coach has had such a lengthy tenure at the high school level in one state and then goes to another, the transition, because, I've from a journalistic standpoint, I don't know if I could ever really figure out another state's layout just in terms of whatever sports it is that you're covering. What was it like making that transition to Georgia private school football?
It was a quick learning curve. I mean, some of the general rules as far as, state to state, they're the same in terms of practice and those things and protecting the players. But more so, it's just about learning the area. There's a couple things that are a little different. They have a thing called padded camps that exist in Georgia where you can really have half pads on and thigh boards, no knee pads, and do some work with 5 or 6 other teams in the summertime, twice. That's different than Tennessee. I'm not saying that's good or bad. We weren't able to do that because of my time in arriving, but there was a few adjustments, not a lot. The biggest portion when you move from state to state is learning the area, learning the other local coaches, because you're the outside guy coming in. And Savannah is a very secluded, not secluded, but very small area when you compare it to Middle Tennessee and Nashville. And so it was just trying to connect with coaches here locally and learn the way of the ropes of things done here in Savannah. But at the end of the day, it's still it's young people you're coaching. It's still football. You got people you have to report to, administrators. You got a coaching staff, and you still have to do a good job and build relationships and put the best product on the field and where it looks the right way and is done the right way. At the end of the day, that's still the essence of it, no matter what state you're in. A few rules here and there, but not a ton. A lot of guys don't wear their knee pads, or their knees are not as covered in Georgia compared to Tennessee. So I didn't have as many of those kind of issues. But it's still football, still young people, still administrators and kids want to be coached hard, want to be loved and mentored and guided, and have fun doing it. And more importantly, anything when you're at private schools, get an amazing education.
As you kind of made that trip and made that journey, now you return. Have you learned anything in particular, anything jump out to you that you may have picked up, whether that's about you yourself or you as a coach, kind of as you migrate back now into Tennessee?
A lot of it would be just the coaches that I work with, continue to have patience as a coach. I think that's something I've been fortunate to coach this game from the high school to the collegiate level for 25, 26, almost 27 years at this point, a long time. And just, continue to have patience in what you do and stay committed to what you do. I mean, we had a transition here. So, when you're a new coach coming from out of state, coaching a new team, not only just a buy-in, because these kids in the community don't know who I am and all those things, just getting people to buy in consistently. And when there's rough times, making sure you stay the course if if that's the right thing. And we did. And by the end of the season, we were playing really good football. Early in the season, we struggled a little bit, but I think part of it is just, be committed to what you're doing, have a great plan of what you're doing and see the plan out. If there's needs to adjust, but when, stay the course if you feel like it's going the right way, even though when you're hitting some rocky times and going through some adversity a little bit.
Emotionally, what was it like coming back for you to obviously such a familiarity? Is it a sense of anxiousness, nervousness, excitement, relief? Kind of just walk us through your range of emotions during this.
No, it's excitement. The other ones, I'm excited. I'm thrilled. One, I'm thrilled about returning to Tennessee and, my connections and people there and my wife, my in-laws are there. They moved from California almost 7-8 years ago. So that was hard leaving them, but getting back close to them. But more so, I'm excited about JP2. This is an amazing place, amazing school with, some of the things that attract me to is outstanding leadership. It's in a great part of town, a growing area that is booming right now. It's Christ-centered, and so I am excited. I am ready to hit the ground running. I have to clear up some couple things here and ready to get to work. And was there last week meeting with students and administrators and getting to know some faculty and people on campus. But I'm excited. I'm so excited for this opportunity and thankful for Dr. Chittle. Selected me as the head coach and the leadership and administration there at the school.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. We can hear that's the lovely tones of Desi Ammons, baseball coach at Columbia State, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Desi, are you in the dugout?
I'm in the press box.
Press box. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Well, hey man, appreciate you taking some time with us under these circumstances. You guys opened the season Saturday, and that one kind of snuck up on me a little bit. But got Northeast Mississippi coming in for a pair on Saturday. How ready can you be for a February 1st opener?
It's just you take your whole fall and you put it together and get as much training done in the fall as you can, and then when you get back, you hope for good weather. And we've been okay so far this January with weather. I know it's been a little chillier, but warmer as of late. But we've had favorable weather to be able to get out and get our work in. I feel a lot more comfortable headed into the season this time than I did last year, just with snow and ice last January. So I feel in a better spot.
I imagine you feel a little bit more comfortable this year than last year, also just from the standpoint that this is your second time around of you actually calling the shots. I mean, as a coach, as a head coach, how much more comfortable do you feel with your situation now than you did last year?
Yeah, you're right there on it. I feel a lot more comfortable. We have a lot more pieces, I feel like, this year to be able to move the lineup around, being able to put guys in different positions. The past couple of years, I felt a little handcuffed, if you will, on our personnel. So this year, I feel a little more comfortable, and then overall comfortable just with outside items, not just on the field. So it's been good.
You mentioned that you guys obviously get as much done as you can in the fall. Coach, kind of give us a breakdown. How did the fall go for you guys, and where do you maybe feel like you're at as we sit here right on the cusp of your opener without actually having played a game just yet?
Very good fall. We had a lot of we didn't have a lot of rain in the fall, so we had a lot of days outside. So that was good for us. And with our pitching is going to be kind of our spearhead that's going to kind of lead us through this season, I feel like. And I do think we have the right personnel on the offensive side to produce some runs to give us a chance.
Classic question, since you mentioned it, I got to ask, are you more excited about what your offense maybe brings to the table, or are you kind of going to rely on your arms in your mind a little more this year?
And it seems like it's going to be arms, but I am looking forward to seeing this offense round out, some guys develop some roles, own up to those roles, and be able to help our team win. But we'll have a lot of new faces in the lineup. It seems like, and we're excited for that.
Desi Ammons, baseball coach at Columbia State, joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by 10 Pin Alley Eat Play Party. Desi, when you talk about some of those arms, and it's always fascinating when you're talking about junior college athletics because it feels like almost as quickly as you get folks, they're gone. But who are some guys that saw some time for you last year out of that pitching core that you're going to lean on a little more this time around?
So when you're talking about returners, we're returning our best 2 bullpen arms, Jake Carden, left-handed pitcher from Pulaski, and also Owen Wilson, who came to us. He moved in from Arizona last year and was a delight to have. He was those 2 guys were staples and kind of firemen, if you will, out of the bullpen to put some fires out. So that's going to be really well. And then we have some other sophomores as well that was with us. Drew Sharp, that's a local kid here in Columbia. Braden Kirkado, another local kid. Thomas Langford, right-handed pitcher. So that's good. And then we added a few more. Just like you said, it's a 2-year deal, and they're out of here. Maybe even sometimes 1 year. So we added a couple bigger arms. Dylan Alonzo came to us from Middle Tennessee State. Very very high level prospect on the mound. And then a few other pieces, Adam Jamison, Braden Gover from West Tennessee out in Covington, left-handed pitcher that looks to, be a staple in our rotation.
You mentioned Carden and Wilson coming out of the bullpen for you last year. Will that be the role that they will continue in this time around, or will you look at them as starters, or what is their situation?
I think as we get going through kind of the, not really preseason, but the early season games, going to give a few more guys like Jake and Owen a start on the mound just to see how they react to that starting role, because that's just a different role for them. You get more time and you have to go a little longer, or you'd like for them to go a little longer in the ball game. But as we work through these first couple of weeks and start conference baseball, it'll fluctuate a little bit, but a lot of guys will get some opportunities to start and just kind of, like I said, just see how the roles fill out.
Now, with no further ado, joining us here on Main Street Sports today from Pro Football Talk is Cherian Williams. Cherian, thanks for joining us from cold Houston.
Thanks for having me. It is cold and snowy.
Yeah, and but neither of those are y'all used to necessarily.
No, and I actually live in DFW, so I came down to take care of my parents to be snowed in for 2 days. So here we are. DFW gets nothing, and Houston, the Houston area gets anywhere from 5 to 8 inches. So it's been kind of fun walking out in the snow because we're not used to it. My parents' dog saw snow for the first time and loved it. So we've been out walking a lot in the snow. She really likes it. I think it makes her cool.
Well, as long as everybody's enjoying it, that's fantastic. I love to look at it through the window.
Yeah, right. Understand.
Yeah, Cherian, I guess we would start this with the DFW team. What is we wanted to kind of catch up on some coaching searches and some other searches that are going on across the National Football League. Where is Dallas right now? All of a sudden, things have gotten kind of quiet out there, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a weird hiring search, but you know what? It's Jerry, and so it's kind of what we expected. So they are in a second day of interviews with a guy who's familiar to him and who is on staff, and Brian Schottenheimer, and he's still there talking to him, but he's talking about multiple jobs. He's talking about offensive coordinator. He's talking about a head coach. So you know how the Cowboys do things, like they hire coaches sometimes before they actually hire the head coach. It happened in the case of Jason Garrett when they hired Garrett and then said, we don't really know what his role is going to be, but we've hired him. And then they hired Wade Phillips, and then Jason Garrett gets the job. And then Mike McCarthy comes on staff, and they said, hey, by the way, you're keeping Kellen Moore as your offensive coordinator, and he's going to call plays. So this is kind of the way they operate. Who knows what Brian Schottenheimer's role with the team is going to be, but it does look like he has a role. All trends everything seemed to be pointing yesterday to Schottenheimer actually getting the job. And then now with the multiple jobs and all that sort of thing, has familiarity with. There's no question about that.
How much harder does that make filling that role? All of everything that you just discussed, basically.
Yeah, well, he's hired 8 head coaches previously. Jerry Jones has. And if you look at who he's hired, 4 of them he was familiar with, and or they had previous head coaching experience. That was Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer, the first 2 he hired. And then, Wade Phillips had previous head coaching experience, but no real familiarity. And Shane Gailey, the other coaches that he's hired, in Dave Campo and those sorts of guys who had no head coaching experience, Jason Garrett, they had no head coaching experience, but he was familiar with them. So that told you right from the start of the search that it was going to be somebody he was familiar with or somebody who had previous head coaching experience. And that's totally the people they've talked to so far. They've talked to Leslie Frazier and Robert Saleh, 2 former head coaches, and that complied with the rule. Do I think those were sham interviews? Probably. I think they did it to fill the Rooney Rule, comply with it, and then they could do whatever they want in the search. So now they're free to hire, and now it's Schottenheimer, and they did a virtual interview with Kellen Moore. My guess is it's either going to be Brian Schottenheimer or Kellen Moore, and they're going to bring Jason Witten on staff. Again, this is what Jerry does. Jason Witten will be on the staff, and he probably will be the next head coach of the Cowboys. However long this contract is, Jerry doesn't pay up contracts. He doesn't buy them out. He doesn't fire them. That's what has happened with the last 3 contracts that he's had. Jason Garrett got a new contract the first time. Jason Garrett's contract ran out the second time. He was let go. Mike McCarthy's contract ran out, and whether it was Mike McCarthy or Jerry Jones or a combination of the 2, he's walked away. So now you have, what is the length of the contract going to be with whoever they hire, and with Jason Witten sitting there as the presumptive next head coach. It's just weird. Like everything they do is just weird. And this is weird. And this is not what NFL teams do, not what I was going to say 31 other NFL teams, but I think Jacksonville, based on what's happened today, is even more jacked up than what the Cowboys are.
When you're more jacked up than the Cowboys, that's not a great place to be.
Not good company.
And yeah, I mean, earlier today we saw that Liam Cohen had pulled out of the coaching search process in Jacksonville, and then right before we come on the air, we see that Trent Baalke has been dismissed as general manager. I mean, yeah, it's pretty jacked up down there.
Yeah, and who knows what happens now. They made the right move. It just took far too long to do this, but I think it became obvious to Shad Khan that he wasn't going to get a good head coach. I mean, Aaron Glenn has gone to the Jets, and Ben Johnson's out of there. Even Trevor Lawrence wasn't enough to bring any of these good coaches on board. And then Liam Cohen said, "I'm out. I'll go back and be a coordinator before I go be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars." So who knows at this point who they get now? Do they go hire the GM first and let the GM hire the head coach? Or are they going to do it in reverse order and hire the head coach and then hire the GM? I mean, it's a weird search. It's a dysfunctional team. Dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things, and we're seeing that with Jaguars, who now may be the most run organization in the NFL. But I'll say this, we said that about the Texans 2 years ago, and they've turned things around within 2 years. One, got the right head coach, found the right quarterback, and now here they are with 2 consecutive division titles. And by the way, they've also won playoff games each of the last 2 years. So won 1 playoff game to get to the divisional round. So it can be turned around, this presumption that you are the most dysfunctional team in the NFL. It can be turned around rather quickly, but the Jaguars have to make the right hire as the GM and as the head coach to get this thing right and get this turned around.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We are especially pleased to have Willie G. Ramirez with us to talk a little women's basketball, because reached out to Willie about a week and a half ago, and he was a little bit under the weather. So really excited that he is feeling up to visiting with us. Willie, how are you doing, man?
Doing good. Appreciate you guys having me on. And yeah, it looks like I recovered just in the nick of time with some big breaking news happening in the WNBA.
Some huge breaking news in the WNBA. Free agency starts tomorrow, right?
Free agency is underway, and they can begin negotiating or matching, I believe. I thought it was February 1st, but I think you're right. I think all these unrestricteds and, when they start looking at the matching offers and negotiating, it's going to be interesting to see, because I think one of the biggest names has already fallen yesterday in a sign and trade deal, and then we still have a host of others. I think some are going to stay put, but I think we're going to see Satu Sabli be the next big domino to fall.
Okay. Well, it feels like the first big domino to fall was Kelsey Plum, who is leaving the Aces apparently and going to the Sparks. Jewel Lloyd coming from the Storm to the Aces. So a lot of moving parts in this one, but the bottom line is Kelsey Plum is to the Sparks. And if you're the Sparks, you got to really like that, with her coming in and playing with Rakea Jackson and Cam Brink, a couple of rookies. Obviously Brink coming off the knee injury, but they kind of feel good about where they are with those two healthy, I would think, and then bringing her in. And, is it kind of addition for the Sparks by subtraction from the Aces? I mean, how did this come down?
Well, I happened to retweet something earlier today from October that I pointed out, I believe it was October 6th, in that the core four of Jackie Young, Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and Chelsea Gray, they had all had extending contracts before or mid-season the last time they had their contracts extended, including Kelsey Plum the previous time. Last October, knowing she was going to be an unrestricted free agent, she had not been extended, or she had turned it down, and she already knew she wanted out. The writing was on the wall. Anyone that would listen to me, that I continue to tell local beat writers, national beat writers, Kelsey Plum has played her last game with the Las Vegas Aces. They did not want to hear it. There's no way that she's going to leave. There's no way they're going to let her leave. She's built something here, so on and so forth. Why would she want to leave Asia Wilson? I told them it's time for Kelsey Plum to go out on her own, right? She has built something here, but I feel as if Kelsey Plum was ready to sort of have her own team, be the face of a franchise, or go and show what she can do without playing in the shadow of Asia Wilson. Now, that being said, I don't think that any of them play in the shadow, especially under Becky Hammond. But nevertheless, it's Asia Wilson's team. Everybody knows that. Even as great as Chelsea Gray is, even as great as Jackie Young is, Asia Wilson's team. So I feel as if she wanted to go. I personally had been predicting Golden State or Seattle. She's a California gal. She's very close with Natalie Nakasi, the assistant coach that they brought from Las Vegas, that they took from Las Vegas, I should say. And I just thought that, if you ever watch Kelsey Plum's warm-up routine, she takes 30 minutes, and Natalie's the only one that would do it with her. So I thought for sure it was a perfect fit. She could be the face of that franchise, help build it, and she's back in her home state. The other option, once it came out that Jewel Lloyd had requested a trade, I felt as if that's an even swap, okay? And I thought it might be a decent fit for Seattle, especially since Kelsey just had her jersey retired by the University of Washington. Alaska Airlines Arena went crazy for her in Seattle, thought that she'd have a built-in fan base there. You got Nneka Ogwumike, the president of the WNBPA. Kelsey's the vice president. You got Skylar Diggins-Smith. You got young Nika Mule. Noelle Quinn is somewhat of a player's coach. I know that there's been some controversy. She was under investigation for bullying, but nevertheless, thought it was a good fit. I did not see the sparks coming until Annie Costabile from Chicago reported it a few days ago. I know yesterday everyone was blowing up X or Twitter that it was the NBA ESPN crew, which it was not. The day before, Annie had broke that story and sent all of us chasing it. So without her, we wouldn't have been chasing the story in order for people to break. That being said, I think everybody makes out well. I think that the Aces get Jewel Lloyd, and she has great chemistry with Asia Wilson, Chelsea Gray, Jackie Young. They've all been in the Olymp team, in the USA basketball program together, so they work well together. I think Kelsey, the reunion between Kelsey Plum and De'Erica Hamby works great, and now they can both mold and help Cam Brink and Rickea Jackson. You got Ray Burrell there as well. I think it's a nice fit. Eli Horowitz does a great job, the general manager. With Seattle, they get the number 2 pick. Now, everybody came after me yesterday because, as you know, you're electronic journalist, I'm a writing journalist. See, people have to read the vernacular and how I word things. And I put Paige Beckers may not want to go to Dallas, but I'm sure she'd like to go to Seattle. Why? Nika Mule is there. They called each other twin. They do TikTok videos. Hey, twin, that's my twin. Came to see my twin. Paige would go see Nika during her rookie year. They're best of friends. So if Seattle could find a way to use the number 2 pick on her, because who knows if she wants to go to Dallas. There have been plenty of reports out there. She does not want to go to the Dallas Wings. So I think everybody made out. Seattle's going to get a decent pick. They still got talent there. They just have to find a way to replace Jewel Lloyd. I think everybody made out great, and it slowly just went down with LA getting involved.
And we are pleased to have with us now from the Vanderbilt Radio Network, Kevin Ingram. We neglected to get your King Ram logo up, Kevin, and I apologize. But
look, man, we had a deal here. I come on the show, you guys put the Kingram logo up, you know?
Yeah, well, we will
understand what a disappointment this is for me.
Well, hey, you're not gone yet. So producer Mark has been known to work wonders. I've seen it today, so we will see if he can get that up at some point here before we let you go. Kevin,
All right, fair enough.
As a Kentucky native, I know your allegiances are a little split on the events of Saturday, but tell us about Vanderbilt 64, number 9, Kentucky 69.
Yeah, my allegiances are not split when it comes to that matchup. Of course, pulling for the black and gold. Gosh, it was so much fun on Saturday, 74-69, big 5-point win. And, the second top 10 win in as many Saturdays for our Vanderbilt team. Really been playing some good basketball. Those are sandwiched around a tough road trip down to Alabama, which Vanderbilt played really well in the second half. But as far as the game against Kentucky, it was a great atmosphere. It was a packed house. And, of course, there were quite a few Kentucky fans in the house, as you might expect. But I felt like our guys played one of their best halves of the season in the first half, led by 14 at the break. You knew Kentucky was going to make a run. They're a really explosive offensive team, and they could put some points on the board very quickly. They outscored Vanderbilt 31-10 to start the second half. But then I thought our guys just made some plays, settled down, made some buckets, and just did what it took to get the game to the finish line. You had a big 3 by Tyler Nickel. You had a big putback by Devin McLaughlin, some steals. Tyler Tanner was terrific, the freshman. So you just had a lot of different contributors. And Vanderbilt didn't exactly just seal it off at the free throw line at the very end, but made enough shots and enough plays to get the job done and really score another signature win, which when you talk about building a tournament resume and all those things, I mean, those are big ones that will help you as the season goes along here.
When we discussed Vanderbilt during the preseason and during the pre-conference portion of the schedule, Kevin, a lot of concern was there with regards to Vanderbilt's size or lack thereof. I mean, have we put that to rest at this point?
I think, Mo, to a certain extent. We've seen Devin McLaughlin and Jalen Carey both have really nice seasons. And Jalen, I mean, the guy's 19 years old and he's out there. I mean, he's got the a big body where he can really shove people around and get to the basket and use that to his advantage. Devin McLaughlin is just an experienced guy who's played a lot of college basketball. He played at Boston College before here and understands what it takes to be successful in a power conference. Both those guys have really nice seasons, and both are really instrumental in the win over Kentucky. McLaughlin had 14 points and 6 rebounds, had a couple big steals, a couple big ones down the stretch. Jalen Carey, 10 points and 6 boards. Both guys stepped out and hit a couple 3-pointers, which was really important. At times in certain matchups, I look out there and say, man, I wish we had like one more big guy. Like I wish we had a 6'10" dude we could stick out there, especially in a game like Alabama the other night where it felt like they brought wave after wave of 6'10" players. That game against Mississippi State where they're so strong all over the map, especially in a spot where you could use a little more physical presence or another big to help you on the glass. But those two have done a terrific job. Vanderbilt has sort of worked around maybe some of the things that might have been perceived weaknesses going into the season. And we've seen Coach Byington just tighten up the rotation. We've seen 9 players in SEC play, and that's been it. But those 9 have played really well. They understand their roles, when they're going in, when they're going out, what the situation is going to be for them. And it's really worked well. And this team's just had a terrific season. 16 wins already and 4-3 in the SEC.
Yeah, they're looking great. They're playing great. And Kevin, if you flip the game on late and you took the ranking away from Kentucky, you maybe would have thought Vanderbilt was the 9th ranked team. I was very impressed with what I saw down the stretch. And I'm curious, is that Vanderbilt, you mentioned the free throw shooting, but other than that, it felt like Vanderbilt took that game to Kentucky, and Kentucky did have some miscues, but it wasn't as if they just gave that game away. I was really impressed what I saw from the Commodores.
Yeah, Wade, I felt the same way, especially in the first half. Man, that last stretch of the first half, Vanderbilt played about as well as it has this season and really did take it to them and made some big shots and built up a double-figure lead. But then I thought really the maturity of this team showed in weathering that storm in the second half and figuring out a way to make some big plays and make some big shots and figure out a way to win against a Kentucky team that's really good. Gosh, I mean, they have some huge resume wins of their own when you think about who all they've beaten this season, Duke and Gonzaga, and they beat Louisville and they beat Florida. They have all just a whole variety of really good wins and went on the road and beat Mississippi State. They're having a terrific first season with Mark Pope, but I thought our guys played really maturely. Even Tyler Tanner, the guy's a true freshman who was out there, looks like a fifth-year senior and making plays that it took the win. But yeah, I felt like our guys look like they belonged in games against top 10 teams. We've seen it 3 games in a row. They were able to weather the storm from Tennessee the previous Saturday, rallied and got it back within single figures at Alabama after it looked like the Crimson Tide were going to pull away. So, yeah, you're seeing this team grow and really grow together. You got a lot of experienced players, but they haven't played very much together going into this season. And so yeah, it's just been fun to watch this group sort of meld together and learn how to be a cohesive unit as the season's progressed, and we're seeing the payoff here in SEC play. And I see my logo's up, so I'm happy now. Thank you.
Yep, Mark got you taken care of.
Fulfilled there.
Absolutely. King Ram, Kevin Ingram of the Vanderbilt Radio Network joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Kevin, again, as you were considering Vanderbilt coming into this season, trying to find a path to the postseason for them and counting up wins, looking down the schedule, certainly the last 2 that they've gotten wouldn't necessarily have been counted as W's unless it was by the most optimistic Vanderbilt fan. You really have to kind of recalibrate how you look at this team all of a sudden, don't you?
Yeah, Mo, I think a lot of people probably are. And yeah, you looked at it going in, went 12-1 in the non-conference. You say, okay, can you get 8 or 9 wins in the SEC and put yourself on the bubble where you really have a chance? I mean, 9 wins is going to get it done. There's no question about that. But what does it look like if you're in that 7 to 8 range? Boy, this team has set itself up well. Still got 11 games to play in the SEC. You're sitting at 4. Can you get another handful of wins? I mean, it does recalibrate how you look at the season. I think it probably has for a lot of people. I mean, it feels like this team can hang with anybody in the league and have a shot. The one game that's going to be really interesting, I think, is when Auburn comes in here and plays. And those Auburn and Alabama games, by the way, are going to be ridiculous. Auburn can kind of play however you want to play, and they show they can win a low-scoring game against Tennessee, or they can put a lot of points on the board, as we've seen in some other games. I thought Alabama looked about as scary as anybody I've seen in college basketball. They not only are a good team, but they played really well the night we played down there. That had to be one of their better games of the season. But yeah, you look at this stretch of games remaining, and we went into that stretch with Tennessee, Alabama, and Kentucky. And you say, man, can you pick off a game or 2 right here? And you win 2 out of 3. Boy, you feel great about that. But a lot of basketball to be played. But 4-3 sitting at this point with 11 to go. Gosh, it's like every win is just so difficult to get and put on your ledger. But yeah, can you grab a few more and have a chance? I feel like this team has shown itself well and just continues to get better and better.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Speaking of spicy, we are now joined by John D. Bryce of footballscoop.com. John, thanks for joining us, man. Good afternoon.
Absolutely. Appreciate the chance to visit with you guys. I think it might be the first time this year, so happy New Year, and I appreciate the spicy introduction.
Well, spicy, John, because here's what made me think of having you on. From the "this is the level of petty to which I aspire" file. Penn State lost its defensive coordinator, Tom Allen. He took a similar gig down at Clemson earlier this month. James Franklin counters by naming Jim Knowles the new defensive coordinator for the Nittany Lions. That's former Penn State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles.
Yeah, that is quite a level of petty there, especially when you consider that Jim Knowles skipped out on Ohio State's national championship celebration as he was making his transition from Ohio State to the arch rival Penn State Buckeyes, or Penn State Nittany Lions, who I don't think have beaten the Buckeyes since maybe 2016 or so. I think James Franklin is 1-11, something like that, against Ohio State since taking over at Penn State. It's really poor, making Jim Knowles the highest paid defensive coordinator in the country. And in the process, I think having to cut a check within 30 days to Ohio State for about $1.2 million to cover the remainder of Knowles' contract buyout there in Columbus. So always subplots aplenty between Ohio State and Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State, and this is an all-new level.
Absolutely. You know what? I mean, obviously this guy is good at what he does. He's the defensive coordinator for the defending, as of right now, national champions. How does Penn State pitch this guy to get him to leave?
You know, I think that there were probably Jim Knowles hadn't picked his entire staff on the defensive side of the ball at Ohio State. I think that probably, according to people in Columbus, had bubbled up a little bit, particularly over the course of this season and in recent weeks. And then let's not forget, he's a Philadelphia native, had coached already in the Northeast, had been a head coach at one point in time in Cornell. So this Penn State opportunity is a bit of a homecoming for him. There's no doubt growing up in Philly that he would have grown up very familiar with the Penn State program and the Pitt program over the course of the years. And so I think there are levels to it. I think he very much wanted to be the highest paid defensive coordinator in college football. That puts him, for context, that puts him among the highest paid defensive coordinators in football anywhere, because there's just a very small handful of coordinators in the NFL making over $3 million. And so I think that was an appeal to him. I think going back closer to home was an appeal to him. And I think there were some personality differences that had finally become more than he wanted to continue to deal with at Ohio State.
John,
go ahead, Boyd.
John, Tom, for the age-old question, who benefits? Is it a bigger gain for Penn State or a bigger loss for Ohio State in your mind?
Well, I'd said going into the national championship game, maybe on a podcast, maybe on radio, I can't remember which, but I'd said going into the national championship game that I believed there was a great chance that 3 of the 4 coordinators in that contest would be with new teams next year. Al Golden has already left Notre Dame to return to the NFL. He's the Cincinnati Bengals' new defensive coordinator. Jim Knowles now is gone from Ohio State as Penn State's new defensive coordinator. Chip Kelly, I believe, will return to the NFL, most likely the Houston Texans. He won't return for any job, but if Chip Kelly is offered an offensive coordinator job in the NFL, I would expect him to leave. So with that backdrop, if Ohio State loses both Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles, then I think that hurts the Buckeyes more. But there's no doubt it's a significant add for Penn State. James Franklin appears poised to keep Andy Kotelnicki another year. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's a really nice offensive coordinator who can grow that system, especially bringing back Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton, the two stud running backs, along with Drew Aller, who's been a very good college quarterback. He still has the next step that he can take. So it's damaging for Ohio State, especially if the Buckeyes also lose Chip Kelly.
Very interesting stuff. A lot of intrigue in the Big Ten all of a sudden. John Bryce of footballscoop.com joining us here on Main Street Sports today to discuss it. John, shifting away from the Power 4 football level, Michael Vick and Norfolk State continuing to get some good people on their campus, named a special teams coordinator here, Torrey Woodbury, who has been working at the professional football level and has some collegiate experience as well. I mean, you have to like what Vic is doing just in terms of knowing what he doesn't know, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing it more and more that these guys are tapping into the relationships that they've built through the years. They're able to bring some high-profile coaches or coaches with certain notoriety and experience into positions that frankly have never had this depth of exposure and experience. And Michael Vick is obviously from the Tidewater region, so even though he played at Virginia Tech, taking over Norfolk State is a bit of a homecoming for him. And he played a really long time in the NFL, and then he had done some high school training after that and done some 7-on-7 stuff. So he's got an expansive database of contacts, and he's tapping into that. I think it's all really good. We saw Hugh Jackson do it some at Grambling. It wasn't as effective, but we still saw some guys that had been in the NFL take some chances at some of these places, and I think it's good for the sport.
Again, the level of folks that he's been able to surround himself with early on looks pretty promising. You know, when you consider that he has no experience at this level. Woodbury was with Howard last year and has been an offensive coordinator. Again, he's coming in as special teams coordinator. He worked with the Rams in a similar role. So, as Wade likes to say, it sounds like he's got the goods.
Yeah, a lot of experience there. I mean, 5 years in the NFL as an assistant special teams coordinator. He'd been the Howard Bison special teams coordinator and tight ends coach last year. He's a former quarterback, so you know he's going to have a great understanding of the game. So it's a strong addition for Michael Vick and company, and folks will get to see them debut among the earlier teams in college football because they play that Thursday night opener, I think August 28th instead of August 30th. There's a handful of games on Saturday, August 23rd. Maybe most notable, Stanford going to Hawaii. So that's an FBS level game, including noted ACC resident Stanford playing in Hawaii. Makes all the sense in the world. So, yeah, it's crazy. Here we are 8 days removed from the national championship, and we're already pivoting towards the season opening in almost exactly 7 months.
Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Wade Neely. And one of the biggest events of the weekend takes place early on the weekend, specifically 11 o'clock tomorrow, as number 5 Florida visits number 8 Tennessee. And to help us kind of take a look at this matchup, we are bringing in, again, the biggest Tennessee sports fan west of the Mississippi, Christopher Gabriel of KMJ Radio. He hosts the CG program weekends out of Fresno. And Christopher, is your air duties going to interfere with your ability to watch this game tomorrow?
No. First of all, good to see you guys. Always great to be with both of you. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine, man.
Great. No, well, I also host the Daily Show, the daily morning news magazine show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9. Weekends, no, I'm done at 11 Pacific time, so everything will be good. I have to tell you guys something kind of funny. So these are my reading glasses, and we never go anywhere without these or the phone. So when I came on, before I came on, I didn't have these on, and I'm looking at Mo, and I'm thinking to myself, is Mo wearing an ascot? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave these on just to make sure that somebody doesn't switch places with Mo or Wade.
You leave those on, and you leave those on, and I'm going to, during the break, see if I can Google an ascot, see if I can have one for the next time you come on.
I feel like there's an endorsement waiting for you.
Just for stuff and giggles. Absolutely. Christopher, again, Tennessee comes into this game 17-4 overall, 4-4 in SEC play. Florida is 18-2, 5-2. The Gators are number 5. UT has lost 3 of their last 4, and they lost when they went to Gainesville a couple of weeks ago. Now, everybody that we've talked to about Southeastern Conference basketball, obviously it's the best conference in the country. Nobody's going to get through it scot-free is the thought. Auburn seems to be saying, hold my beer to all that. But, have we passed the point that, everybody's going to get a little roughed up? And are we concerned about UT right now?
Well, I think there's yes in both of those. Going back to the 3 losses that the Vols have had recently, Vandy, the most recent ones, Vandy, Kentucky, and Auburn, not in that order.
Mm-hmm.
The Vandy game, should the Vols have won that game? Well, I think it's more of a could have. They could have won that game. They were, we all watched the game. They were in recovery mode until the end. Chaz Lanier misses 1 of 2 free throws. That's not why they lost. It was an aggregate from everything that happened before they got to that point in the game. The Auburn game, they could have won that game as well. Some odd calls. That's as far as I'll go with that. At the end of the game, Vols couldn't shoot the ball worth a darn. And then the UK game, and I wanted to make sure that I had the numbers right. So I had the stats next to me. And what's interesting about this is that basically, not including shooting, the Vols led every statistical category that you would want, but they didn't win. And what's interesting about that game is that I never got the feeling that the Vols were going to win that game. They just, right from the get-go, except for the 11-0 run that they made to take that 33-30 lead, they never really felt like they were in a flow. So I think the Vols, they have some problems right now. And I mean, we saw a hint of that in the Florida game. It was a bad night. I know that Rick Barnes, listen, I'm a Rick Barnes fan, but at the same time, I said this when he first came to Knoxville, is that the style of offense that I want to see? Not really. I've never been a fan of it, but I'm a fan of Rick, and I'm a fan of the quality person that he is, the men that he mentors. I love what he's done for this program, but he said everybody takes a beating like that. Not everybody. Not everybody takes a beating like that. And there were people you saw. There's always somebody on social media that will go back 20 years in records and say, well, you saw what happened to Duke 13 years ago. Well, none of that matters. What matters is right now. My concern for the Vols, fellas, is that there is not a guy on this team that is able to create his own offense in a flash, not like Dalton Knecht did last year. Are there guys that can shoot? Of course. But what I'm seeing mostly are guys passing up shots. When I think of Igor, how many times is he positioned in the offensive in the half court? He gets the ball at the top of the key and he takes 2 dribbles and stops. And we all know in basketball 101, don't pick up your dribble. Please don't pick up your dribble. He does that, and he's already looking to pass the ball instead of – he's 6'10", for heaven's sake. Go strong to the bucket. Chaz Lanier, he's just not been in rhythm. And I think there's something to the fact that the physicality of SEC games has had an effect on him, and he's had a slower adjustment from when he was at North Florida than DK did coming here from Northern Colorado.
Correct.
And at the same time, you look at a guy like Dubar. He looks like he could be a good player, but he comes in launching like he's Steph Curry coming in off the bench. And as of yet, I mean, I want to see him contribute. Haven't really seen as much except for one game. So I think the Vols have some problems. A lot of things will go to Rick Barnes saying he doesn't know how to coach offense. I don't know that he doesn't know how to coach offense. He hasn't won 800 plus games just because of defense. But I think the problem is there's nobody right now that is stepping forward and saying, fellas, get on my back. I'm going to take you home.
Speaking of teams on a little bit of a skid, again, Tennessee's women go to Missouri on Sunday. The Lady Vols, as have pretty much everybody else, took it on the chin against South Carolina on Monday, but they are 3-5 in league play. And, you know, you're really encouraged by what you've seen out of this team in Kim Caldwell's first year. 15-5 overall, 3-5 in conference play. Missouri at or near the bottom of the conference, 12-10, 1-6. A chance for the Lady Vols to go and, you know, get a confidence building victory, you'd like to think.
So a couple of thoughts about the Lady Vols. I knew a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit about Kim Caldwell when she got hired. And what I knew about her was the kind of offensive pressure she put on teams and the defensive suffocation she tried to put on teams, full court and half court press. It's funny, that South Carolina game, and this just goes to show you what people do on social media. I said, you know, one of the things that really impressed me was how this team never gave up. They never quit. They fought hard. Somebody came at me and said, I don't like that you implied they were quitters. And again, you really wish that people would employ reading comprehension before they, right? Because what I was trying to say was, and it was obvious to most people that had the IQ of an acorn or more, what I was trying to say was Kim Caldwell has taken this program and these players in a place that Kelly Harper did not. I loved Kelly when she was Kelly Jolly as a player. She was always sort of mid as a coach. And that's, you know, that's not a knock. That's reality. That's what she was. Kim Caldwell has got this team believing that they are never out of a game. And we saw that against South Carolina, against Oklahoma, and against LSU. I love where this program is at and where they're going. Fellas, I thought you might find this interesting. My daughter goes to a high school here, my younger daughter, called Clovis West. They are ranked in the top 25 nationally. They are ranked in the top 10 in the state. They just played a team that has one of the Lady Vols commits, Jada Civil, from Florida. And the coach is a good friend of mine. His name is Craig Campbell. He's won almost 800 games. He said to me, CG, I know you're a big Tennessee guy. He goes, let me tell you. He goes, that Jada Civil, she's a beast. He goes, she is a woman out there among young girls playing. He went on and on about the kind of player that she is. And the reason I bring her up is that you look at what this team is doing right now, and they've got talent, but they're not loaded. You saw the talent disparity between them and South Carolina. It was clear. But talent is coming. I mean, when you consider that Kim Caldwell hasn't been there a full year and she's got the number 2 class coming in, that speaks volumes about players looking at her style of play and saying, I want to be a part of that. That's cool. So I think this team, even though they've hit a little bit of a skid in the SEC, they've been in games, they've been right there. They've got players who are playing loose, playing free, unafraid to shoot. Rick Barnes' players should look at those players and say, you see what they're doing? They're letting the shots go. I really like where this program is at. You want to see them continue to win. You want to see them get a win at Missouri. But I don't know how you guys feel, but especially you, Mo, because I think you're a Vandy guy, right? I think you're
I'm a Wolverines guy through and through. They took one on the chin versus South Carolina at the start of the year, so I know a little bit of the pain that Tennessee fans are feeling right now. But
I'll just say this about Michigan. I have some friends who went there, and that is really Ann Arbor is just one of the beautiful cities in this country, one of the great college towns. I'm going to stop there because that's all I can really say. About
not much else needs to be said.
Nothing else. But I do think that again, this program. I remember a few years ago they had a camera in halftime with Kelly Harper, And I remember her just yelling at her players saying, no more outside shots. Everything's going to go under the bucket. It's going to go to the low blocks. And I thought that may not be the message that you want to send to your team. And now you have a coach at the other end of that saying, go. Just
We're not shooting anything in the paint.
That's it. Yeah.
Christopher Gabriel of KMJ Radio out of Fresno joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, talking a little UT hoops. Christopher, as always, we appreciate it.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
No coincidence, probably, but this week, Wade and I will give you our top 5 proposed New Year's resolutions. Wade, the floor is yours.
Let's dive in, and we're doing this today. Next Friday, set your watch. Next Friday is what they call Quitter's Day. So if we don't make it to next Friday for some of these, and I got the feeling I probably won't, but just mind your business, as we like to say.
That's it. That's it.
Number one for me, you know what? I'm probably gonna succumb to this, but I want to spend less money on Lego sets this year. I developed a bad habit with Lego sets in 2024. I think I ended up getting like 15 done. I need to spend less money on Lego sets. That money could be spent better elsewhere.
My number one, and I'm not a person that makes resolutions just because of Quitter's Day, basically, but
we can make it to next Friday, hopefully.
Something I do need to be more mindful of, I need to cook more. I eat out a lot, probably way too much, certainly too much. And so I probably need to cook a little bit more and, save some money, flex in the kitchen a little bit. So that would be a resolution if I were to make one.
I'm with you on that. I go in waves on cooking. I'll cook at home for a month or two, and then it just
fall off.
It goes in waves. Right now we're smack dab in the middle of soup season. This is my time to thrive, though, so I can do that with the best of them. So I'm with you there on getting back in. Number 2, I got close to this yesterday, Mo. Already, just 6 days into the year. One of my resolutions: I want to complete the New York Times crossword without cheating. Had to cheat on like 4 clues yesterday, 4 or 5 clues. I'm getting close. They say on Monday it's the easiest day of the week, and it gets a little harder as the week goes on. So if you give me the right Monday, I feel like I might be able to pull this off later this year. I'd like to pull it off without cheating.
Keep us posted. We will certainly celebrate that when the time comes. My number 2, I don't know that this is going to happen, but I really need to spend less time on social media.
Well, who doesn't?
Well, yeah, but there are some, and then there is me. Yeah.
Oh man.
So, yeah, true confessions. I do this too much, and
we've got some apps we'll send to you that can make that happen for you. They'll lock you out of social media.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: I don't look at my screen time on my phone because I'd be embarrassed to know. Yeah. So
mine sends updates on Sunday, and I start crying every Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. My excuse is I'm getting ready for it's show prep, and there is that, but I got to get this under control. So that's my number 2.
I'm
number
with you
3,
there.
Wade.
Number 3, I'm going right after we get done, so maybe I'm onto something. I got to get back in the gym and watch my sugar a little bit. Around Halloween, And around Thanksgiving and around Christmas, that winter coat starts developing for me. And I got to get back in the gym, get back on my fitness. Shout out to our sponsor here. But I got to get back in, and I got to watch my sugar intake going forward here. The winter coat will lead into a permanent coat if I'm not careful.
I was wondering where that would be for you. My number 3, I want to travel more. And to those who are giving me grief about cruises and that kind of thing, well, I'd like to take more of those or do something, go somewhere. So if you don't see me, as Wade said, mind your business.
Mm-hmm.
So number 4, Mr. Neely.
4th on my list, I want to keep my expectations in check for the Memphis Grizzlies. They're off to a great start. Nobody's been healthy really at any prolonged stretch. I don't know that anybody will be healthy when the chips are needed to be put down. So I got to keep my expectations in check. I feel like it's there for the taking if they're healthy, but the track record hadn't been great. If we can keep Ja on the court and out of trouble and on the court and healthy, maybe we got a shot. But I'm going to keep my expectations in check. That's a New Year's resolution of mine this year. But right now it's looking good.
So far, trouble hasn't been the issue for Demetrius
Yeah.
DeMille. So hopefully that will continue. Maybe he set a resolution or 2.
That'd be great.
Yeah. My number 4 is not necessarily sleep more, but sleep more regularly. I stay away from the late nights and that kind of thing because I am by nature a night owl. But if I can get myself to bed at a decent hour, maybe I can get up at a decent hour and be a little bit more productive. So sleep and kind of, regulate that a little bit better. Your number 5.
I'm with you on that one too. Number 5 for me, I ran one in October and I said, I need to chill out. I need to stop doing this. I got to stop signing up for half marathons. I've already signed up for 2 this year. When I said in October, I was probably not going to run one for a long time. So I've already kind of gone back on my word, but I'm chalking that up to 24. No new half marathons. How about that?
No new half marathons.
Yeah.
I like that.
And certainly no fulls, at least not for now.
In reflection of your Grizzlies resolution, I'm going to try to temper my expectations regarding the guys down south, the Atlanta Braves. They've been very quiet over this offseason, and I'm not quite sure how to take that, but I'm going to try to temper my expectations there. Today's top 5, prompted by NFL Hall of Famer and Colorado Buffaloes coach, perhaps soon to be Dallas Cowboys coach, Deion Sanders. Top players turn coaches. And not just football, just whatever we come up with. So, with that in mind, Wade, the floor is yours.
Yeah, and let's kick this off. I mean, let's just go right to the top. Bill Russell. I really don't need to say a whole lot more. But if you want me to, 11-time NBA champ, and a couple of those as not just a player, but as a player coach. I mean, that's about as good as you can get for the legend.
That's a great get. It's an obvious get. I'm going to go a little more obscure.
We love the obscure.
There is one former major leaguer to reach the 2,000 hit plateau as a player and the 2,000 win plateau as a manager, and it is Joe Torre.
On the list, he's one of the best.
Yeah. What did he do? He won 6 AL pennants, 4 World Series championships with the Yankees, and was first all-time with 84 career playoff victories at the time of his retirement. Played 14 seasons with, oh, that's not right. I'm misreading that. Never mind. Played with the Braves and the Cardinals. Later managed both of them, but again, did not really have his managerial success until he got to the Big Apple. But Joe Torre is my number one. Number two, sir.
Up next for me, let's stay NBA for just a moment. But this man was a two-time champ as a player. All he did as a coach was win 11 rings. The Lord of the Rings, none other than Phil Jackson himself, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I'm going to go at number two, and I'm not sure I can find all of his bona fides. But Don Nelson, again, another former Boston Celtic who had a great degree of success on the bench as well with both the Celtics and with the Warriors. I think he also coached at Dallas. But Don Nelson is my number two. Number three, sir.
Number three, man. You know what? I'm gonna save the person who I was thinking at number three. But number three, give me Mike Ditka, man. I know Chicago. So much of Chicago's lore, still to this day, which kind of tells you all you need to know about the state of that franchise, is built around Ditka. But the fact that I got to look this up too. There's another tight end. It might have been McBride for the Cardinals that just broke a record this year that Ditka still held as a tight end from when he was playing. I'm going to dig that up by the time we sign off here, because in 1961 he gets drafted. But then you think of him as a Super Bowl coach, but obviously he wins the title back in Super Bowl. Your Roman numeral.
Yeah, it was the 85. Yeah,
winning. Well, I'm thinking when he wins one with the Cowboys over the Dolphins, or in the early days, Super Bowl VI. I can count that high, luckily. But yeah, give me Ditka, man, just for the lore, if nothing else.
There you go. My number three. I'm gonna delve into the NBA just a little bit, and I'm gonna get away from the Celtics a little bit. I'm gonna go with Pat Riley, who had a playing career with the Lakers, was pretty good at Kentucky, part of Rupp's runs, but found a great deal of success on the bench with both the Lakers and the Heat. Give me Pat Riley at number three.
Hey, no doubt. Adrian Brody playing Pat Riley on HBO on Winning Time. He's as good as it gets. By the way,
Has he got the slick back hair?
He's got it, baby. That is a great show. By the way, Ditka was broken by Brock Bowers, who set the rookie receiving records mark for tight ends. Ditka had 1,076 yards back in '61, so Bowers pushes him to the side finally this year. And
wonder how many games they played in '61.
I was just getting ready to say the old school people will start coming for me here and saying, well, he had to play extra games to do it. But get off of Brock Bowers' lawn for just a moment. Number four, this is right up your wheelhouse. So give me Franz Beckenbauer, one of the only three players ever to win a World Cup as a player and as a manager. Beckenbauer, even before he became famous with, the Cosmos back in the day here in the States. But give me Beckenbauer, who got it done as a player for Germany and then also as a manager.
I will have to scratch Franz Beckenbauer off my list. Okay, that's a lie. My number four, this guy was on deck when Hank Aaron hit 715. Dusty Baker became the sixth manager to win 2,000 career games, led the Astros to a World Series championship, the ninth manager to win pennants in both the American and National Leagues. And when he did it in 21 with the Astros, he was the first manager to win division titles with 5 different teams, managed the Giants, Cubs, Reds, and Nationals, as well as the Astros. Dusty Baker is my guy. Number five.
Number five, you stole Baker right out from under me. I got to account for the game theory here and know that you're going MLB a lot of times. So I'm going to have to pivot to Frank Robinson at this point. because all mine have already been taken off the list. But Frank was one of the best to ever do it. I wanted to pick Cy Young, but I'm not going to because he coached for like one season in 1907 or whenever that was. But it felt like he didn't have enough wins to justify a spot on my list. This is a coveted list, but I'll go with Frank Robinson, who got it done.
I'm going to go at number 5 with Larry Bird. Obviously a great player, coached the Pacers as well. Get into Top 5 Tuesday, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Whatever shape it is that you're in, Thalos Steel will get you in a better one. You can catch him at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. Thalos Steel, Mid-South 5 Fitness, bringing you Top 5 Tuesday. And again, it is our top 5 national championship football teams. Wade, have at it.
Coming hot right out of the gate. Remember, Mo, when the SEC was back in the business of winning college football national championships? It seems forever ago.
I do remember that.
Give me, it's a bygone era, but give me the 2019 LSU Tigers. They had it all. They had a star-studded lineup. You had Smoking Joe doing everything under the sun. You had Justin Jefferson just running rampant on folks. You had Coach O rolling. And then just for fun, you had Odell Beckham coming back and handing out $100 bills to the guys after they won the title. It gets no better. Give me 2019 LSU.
Handing out $100 bills that folks were trying to tell you were like monopoly money, like counterfeit. No, that's U.S. currency.
That was some ground level NIL back in the day.
That is a great pool, and it was certainly on my list and might have been my number 1 had you not taken them. But instead, I'm just going to go to not just the top 5, but potentially the best college football team ever. I give you the 2001 Miami Hurricanes. Defeated 5 top 15 teams that season, gave up less than 10 points a game. Included on that team was Ken Dorsey, Clinton Portis, and Bryant McKinney, who won the Maxwell Award. Well, Dorsey won the Maxwell, McKinney won the Outland. Ed Reed, 9 picks, unanimous All-American. And they just ran roughshod all year long. Their fingerprints were all across the NFL for years after that. 2001 Hurricanes, my number 1.
Ain't no doubt. I'll never forget Ed Reed stealing the ball on the interception return at Boston College to squeak out the win that year. That was as close as anybody played them all year. An electric team. Like you said, that was not just the greatest champ, but man, that was one of the best teams ever assembled.
Right. Number 2, Mr. Neely.
Man, hey, Homer bias, whatever you want to call it, but I got to go 2023, the Michigan Wolverines. I wore my hoodie last night for one last time before they had to hand the title off of the reigning national champs. They go undefeated. They beat Ohio State. They got McCarthy kind of capping his career in style. They had everything you wanted and more. They go through Alabama in one of the most electric semifinals ever played. And then they kind of ran away from Washington in the second half. It was a good night to be a Wolverine. It was a great season to go perfect. In this new era, don't know that we'll see too many perfect teams. Oregon was the only team to go through the regular season unscathed, and they got bounced. But last year, Michigan was perfect. They got to be my number 2.
My number 2 is the winner of what a lot of people will tell you was the best college football game ever. It was the 2006 Rose Bowl, and it was the 2005 National Championship Texas Longhorns, led by former Tennessee Titans quarterback Vince Young, and many would tell you that was the highlight of his career, was that Rose Bowl performance. Texas scored 50 points a game that year. So, enough said. The Longhorns, my number 2. Number 3, sir.
Next for me, let's turn back the clock just a little bit. Let's go 1947 for Notre Dame. And this was just mind-blowing. Notre Dame not only goes undefeated, they never trailed and they owned a 291-52 scoring edge. As Lou Jack wins the Heisman, George Connor wins the Outland Trophy. I didn't get to see any of these guys play, but those stats alone are pretty eye-popping for a program that's got a pretty good track record, a pretty good pedigree with some old school titles. 1947 Notre Dame, right up there for me.
The 1995 Nebraska team capped off a national championship push with a 62-24 win over Florida. That was one of 6 times that they scored 50 plus, half 100, as former Gators coach Steve Spurrier would so famously say. The Cornhuskers scored 35 or more in each of their 12 games. Nebraska won by at least 14 in each of their 12 games. Tommy Frazier threw for 17 touchdowns, rushed for 600 yards and 14 touchdowns. And Amon Green rushed for 1,000 yards and 16 scores. So, yeah, give me the 1995 Cornhuskers at number 3.
They had some loaded teams. They had a pretty good team this year, but there was really, hey, there's only one real national champ. I know they split the title, but the 1997 Michigan Wolverines were a force to be reckoned with. They go 12-0. Yeah, Washington State wasn't that great, but they did have Ryan Leaf, and they vanquished them in the Rose Bowl. They took care of business. They had everything you wanted. They got a little revenge to start the year versus Colorado after the epic Hail Mary a couple of years prior. They take care of Michigan State on the road with the famous Charles Woodson interception. The Wolverines were kind of a force to be reckoned with, and they did beat a team at the end of the year, the Scarlet guys, if you know who I'm talking about. Give me the 97 Wolverines. The last year that we had any sort of real major debate about who the national champ could or should be.
2013 Florida State had Jameis Winston, had 25 other guys that went on to play in the National Football League. 4 of them first-round selections. 9 were consensus All-Americans. And basically that was the team and the season that established Jimbo Fisher, that eventually sent him into a hiatus with a $75 million check. So that 2013 Florida State team is my number 4. 5th and final team. Wait,
fifth and final team. I'm scrolling through here, and I'm struggling to come up with some good ones. But how about Clemson in 2018? Man, I can't believe I'm picking a Clemson team to be on this list. But for the fact alone that you can kind of slay the beast and take care of a ridiculous gauntlet that they faced and kind of be able to do it versus Bama, man, it feels icky. But I got to go with Clemson just to show a little love because that was right in the heyday when Bama was just absolutely just marching through everybody.
I'm going to be a little bit of a homer right here, but in the first year after All-American legend Peyton Manning graduated from the University of Tennessee, T. Martin leads Tennessee to the 1998 National Championship, and in doing so, cements the number 5 spot here. It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton, and it is the final segment of the show, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Whatever shape it is you're in, Thalas Steel will get you in a better one. You can find him at steelathletes.com. That's STEEL athletes.com. Mid-South 5 Fitness bringing you Top 5 Tuesday as Wade and I give you our top 5 teams we love to hate. Looking forward to this. Wade, the floor is yours.
First pick, Duke men's basketball. I should have prefaced by saying this is a completely even-handed and unbiased list. But since I didn't say that, Duke basketball, number 1. I want to preface, only Duke men's basketball. I actually like Duke football. I like Duke women's basketball. But the fact that there are so many Duke men's basketball only fans, that tells you all you need to know. You never hear, Mo, about anybody that is, a big Duke soccer fan. They're always just men's basketball. And my Michigan hatred ties run deep all the way back to the Fab Five, and they've never really relented over the years. So Duke men's basketball has got to be my number one on this list.
The way you feel about Duke men's basketball is the way I have felt about this team. And I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. Their coach is really making it hard for me to maintain this. But for now, we're going to continue with Notre Dame football. I remember growing up as a kid, we would get, for whatever reason, the Notre Dame coaches show on Sundays. And I'm like, why do we care about Notre Dame football? And I mean, I've gotten older and smarter, and I get it. I mean, they are kind of America's university in the eyes of a lot of folks, but it just felt like we should be hearing about other folks here in the Nashville/Middle Tennessee area in the 70s besides Notre Dame. So give me the Irish as my number one.
I'm with you
again,
there.
and again, to your point, it's just Notre Dame football. I mean, I really enjoyed Muffet McGraw and the job that she did with Notre Dame women's basketball and a lot of their other programs, but Notre Dame football, and again, Marcus Freeman needs to move on quickly before this changes.
Yeah, Handsome Marcus is winning everybody over.
Yeah,
luckily for me, as a Michigan fan, Notre Dame's scared to play us and won't play till like 2033, so I can kind of chill for the next decade. So Michigan won the last meeting. I haven't forgot that. But I'm with you there. The Notre Dame hatred runs deep on this side of the table as well. Number 2 on my list, got to go across the pond, but Liverpool has got to be number 2. For a variety of reasons. Yeah, I'm an Everton fan, but I mean, no one seemingly, and no fan base is seemingly more fixated on their past than Liverpool. Kind of in the same vein of Notre Dame a little bit. I mean, these guys haven't won anything. I know they've had a good run here, and they're going to win the league this year, but prior to the last 5 or 6 years, they hadn't won anything, and you would think they'd won every single title, and just a little pompous, a little arrogant. Everton is the people's club. It's the working man's club, and Liverpool just gets under my skin a little too much. They got to be on my list at number 2.
I love it. My number 2, I hate these guys, but I definitely respect them. The Philadelphia Phillies. They have really become a thorn in the side of the Atlanta Braves here over the last little bit. I think that and I think my hate probably stems more from their fan base than from the team, actually. But I think the team respects the Braves. I don't know that their fan base does, and I don't really understand why. I guess because of their lack of logic. So, but give me the Phillies at number 2.
I'm with you there, and you got to expand that though. That could go to almost any Philadelphia team. We love you, Dawn Staley, but the city as a whole, it makes it really tough to root for a lot of their franchises.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see Paul George got stuck in traffic at the championship or the NFC championship parade the other day?
No.
And the memes were great because everybody quickly pointed out that's the closest he'll ever get to a championship. At least while he's in Philadelphia. But yeah, he went out in traffic and got stuck in the middle of everybody walking and celebrating. So PG-13 catching strays even during the Eagles championship.
That's unfortunate. That's bad timing for him. I hate that.
Yeah, pretty rough go. Number 3 on this list, they're the defending national champs currently, but Ohio State football. I mean, really, what more do you got to say? And I love to hate these guys. If Notre Dame is kind of a touch more of a gentleman's rivalry, this is kind of how I describe Giles County and Lawrence County. It's kind of a gentleman's rivalry. Things are nice and cozy, and there's a mutual respect. And then you got Giles County and Marshall County, and no, it's just you just don't like those guys. And that's kind of where Ohio State is. You give them the minimum base level of respect that they deserve, and after that, you can't take anything. And I do love the idea, Mo, that Ryan Day, if he wants to get a championship tattoo, he's got to put 14 and 2 on his body this year for his national championship tattoo, which would be kind of funny, you got to admit.
That's terribly funny. My number 3, and it will continue this way as long as its owner continues to own this franchise, the Dallas Cowboys. And again, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, a lot of the folks that they have on that roster and have had come through there, I really like them as players and from what I know of them as people. But, Jerry's not going to get out of the way, and he just doesn't feel like a very good person. Give me the Cowboys at number 3.
I think they'd have been on a lot of folks' lists. And talk about a franchise that's living in the past. Woo. We saw the stat. Now with the Commanders getting to the NFC Championship game, every team in the NFC has been to a championship game
since the Cowboys were last there.
Cowboys were last there. So I mean, yikes.
That includes the Commanders. That includes the Lions and
the Panthers. Think about that.
The Bucks. Goodness gracious, that's bad. For America's team in particular.
Yeah, I mean, America's team, maybe that's what you deserve. If talk about being, like I said, stuck in the past. Still an unserious franchise. I'm with you on that. Number 4 on my list, I know, with all due respect to the late, great Kobe, as we just mentioned yesterday, the Los Angeles Lakers are right up there at the top of my list. And this goes back to the deep-rooted hatred of the Lakers as a young pup when I was a huge Sacramento Kings fan. They had Chris Webber. They had Vlade Divac. They had Jason Williams. That was my team in my early years. And guess who was always standing in their way?
Mm-hmm.
It was the Lakers. And even in the Kings' best years, there was a little thing called Refgate, if you will. Tim Donaghy kind of getting involved. So even when the Kings had their best shots at them, they still had the refs in their pocket. Give me the Lakers on my list. Woof.
That's a good one. The Lakers probably would have been on my list, but they've kind of just faded into whatever. But yeah, I see
You're not counting the bubble championship. I respect that. I'm with you there.
Number 4, speaking of the National League East, the New York Mets. And again, this is probably less the team and more the fan base because they're kind of the Dallas Cowboys of baseball. They've done less with more. And again, the phrase Mets gonna Met is there for a reason. I mean, you only have to be worried about them minimally, regardless of how much talent they've got, because eventually they're going to implode in some way, shape, or form. And it's worth watching just to see how they're going to screw things up next. So looking forward to 2025 along those lines. They're already on their way to that by letting Pete Alonso walk. So, give me the Mets at number 4.
I'm with you there. It's fun to watch them implode as a neutral observer. There ain't no doubt about that. Last on my list, the Golden State Warriors, a little bit because of the fan base, because these guys, especially during these heated series with the Grizzlies over the years, they act like they play the game the right way. They act like they do the right things. I love Steph Curry, and if Draymond ended up in a Grizzlies uniform, I would love him. but the way I would love anybody that plays for the Grizzlies. Chris Paul, I'd have to come to grips with that one. That goes way back. But all that being said, they flaunt this free-flowing basketball, and then when they play the Grizz, they're dirty as all get out, and then try and pretend that they're not. And the Grizz have gotten them a few times, but they certainly have had their share more than the Grizz. So I got to go with the Warriors on my list just because, like I said, they flaunt it as if they're this prima donna franchise. But they're just as down and dirty and ugly as the Grizzlies want to be. They're just a little more highfalutin about it.
And they don't embrace it to the degree that the Grizzlies do with the grit and grind. So, yeah.
Right. I mean, the only person on that team that does is Draymond when he's punching somebody where the sun don't shine.
Yeah. My number 5, and it's only been this way for the last little bit, but right now it's the New York Jets, but basically it's any team that Aaron Rodgers is on.
Could be the Titans next year.
Oh, it would be. That would be awful. I would hate to see that.